We don't have long-term sustainable transformation, which is the only kind we're after. No one wants a false hit of happiness or a momentary relief from anxiety into ease. To really, really evolve and become, it requires becoming fully expressed, getting back into your body, feeling your feelings, remembering that you're primal, and allowing the glorious emotion of rage to set free.
Hey, friend, I've been thinking a lot about how much we all need a moment to just breathe. Life can feel really heavy sometimes and challenging, and it's easy to forget to take care of ourselves in a deep, healing way, in a comprehensive way. And that's where mountain breathwork infused with Reiki comes in. It is my favorite thing to offer, and I would love for you to experience it. It's a space for you to reconnect with yourself, to feel held, loved, and totally accepted no matter what you're carrying. Whether you're going through something major or not, you can just be yourself and let go and feel supported. For a one-to-one session where we can go even deeper, I am here for you. And you know what's been lighting me up lately? Going into other communities, circles, retreats, events to share this work. It is such a privilege to hold space for groups who are ready to experience something transformative together. So if you're a part of a circle or a community that could use some grounding and healing energy, I would love to come to you either through Zoom or in person. And you can find me at sageandblushwellness.com to learn more, or just reach out to chat. Let's create something beautiful together. Give yourself a deep breath. You deserve it. Welcome to The Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. I'm Siri Baruch Thornton, a lifelong healer, teacher, and creative. My journey began in a yoga ashram in Boston and led me through the healing communities of Vermont to over 25 years in the film and TV industry. Along the way, I've learned from spiritual masters, explored meditation, clairvoyance, and embraced my role as a mountain breathwork teacher, Reiki Master of Masters, and Akashic teacher. This podcast is all about inspiring you to expand your capacity to feel good through conversations, tools, and practices that support your inner growth and creativity. So, whether you're seeking healing, transformation, or simply a deeper connection with yourself, join me as we explore what it means to live authentically, creatively, and in alignment with your highest self. Let's dive in. Happy Valentine's Day. Welcome, beautiful souls. Wherever you are, like cozy in your bed or at the gym or in your car or doing laundry or whatever. Thank you for listening. And today we are gathering for this amazing panel of creatives, of leaders, of joyful, expressive people. This is about creativity, leadership, and joy. So why on Valentine's Day? Simbi, one of our panelists here, asked me yesterday, why on Valentine's Day? So because love is more than romance. Love is the foundation of creativity, the heart of leadership, and the source of joy. It is not just something that we give or receive. It is something we create, something we embody, something we allow to expand in every area of our lives if we want to. And today, this is exactly what we are here to do. Love is not something distant, not a destination to reach, not a prize to be won. It is here within us, in the breath we give ourselves, in the space we allow ourselves to expand. It is the quiet knowing, deep, steady, unwavering, that we are already whole. That creativity is not something we must chase, but something we allow to flow through us. That leadership is not something we wait to claim, but something we step into, first for ourselves, and then for those we are meant to serve. Joy is not a reward for doing enough, for being enough, for proving ourselves worthy. It is a birthright, a practice, a home, that we return to again and again. The most powerful version of you is not the one who waits for permission, but the one who dares to begin, to create, to lead, to love, to expand into more than you thought possible. So as we open this space together, give yourself a breath.
Inhale possibility. Exhale hesitation. Stepping fully into this moment. You are here. You are ready. And the more we share this love, this truth, this light, the more it grows. This panel is an invitation to trust yourself more, to expand your creative expression, to lead from the inside out, and to claim more joy. So let's ask ourselves, what does it feel like to fully love and accept ourselves? Does it feel like an exhale? The kind that softens everything inside of us, reminding us we don't have to prove or perform, just be. Is it warmth spreading through our chest, the quiet knowing that we are whole exactly as we are, moving through life with ease, trusting our choices, speaking our truth without shrinking? Is it allowing joy, abundance, and success to flow in because we no longer question if we deserve it? And when we stand in this love, what do we believe? What do we know? What do we remember? We know our power, our voice is our magic. We trust that the right people and opportunities and abundance are drawn to us when we move with alignment and authenticity. We know confidence isn't about perfection. It's about showing up and honoring all parts of ourselves, even the ones that are still unfolding. We radiate joy, ease, and purpose, knowing that the more we honor our truth, the more we inspire others to do the same. We are limitless, and because we know it, we are. So as we begin this conversation, give yourself a breath, inhaling possibility, exhaling anything that has been weighing you down. Here you are. Enough. Your leadership, your creativity, your joy, they are already within you. And today we have an extraordinary group of women who embody this truth in their own unique ways. Each of our panelists have been a guest on The Authentic Creative, Dr. Sarah Milken soon to come, but everyone else has been a guest already, sharing their wisdom, their journeys, their brilliance with us. These are creators, visionaries, leaders who have walked their own paths of transformation, stepping into greater alignment, self-trust, and impact. And we begin with someone who knows what it means to embody radical self-leadership. Tracy Litt is a force of nature. When it comes to transformation and empowerment, she doesn't just teach leadership, she embodies it. Her work is about helping people step into their highest potential with authenticity, courage, and deep trust. Tracy Litt is the founder and CEO at the School of Becoming, a TEDx speaker, best-selling author, leadership expert, spiritual teacher, and embodiment mentor. She helps high-achieving women elevate into their highest potential and create transformational change. So my question for you, Tracy, your work is deeply rooted in transformation and expansion. What do you believe is the most powerful shift a person can make when it comes to stepping into authentic leadership and creating a joyful life?
Hello.
Hi.
So beautiful to be with all of you. The answer to that question that I will die on the sword over is your ability to feel safe becoming fully expressed. Emotionally expressed, physically expressed, vocally expressed. We don't have long-term sustainable transformation, which is the only kind we're after. No one wants a false hit of happiness or a momentary relief from anxiety into ease. To really, really evolve and become, it requires becoming fully expressed, getting back into your body, feeling your feelings, remembering that you're primal, and allowing the glorious emotion of rage to set free, crying your face off when you feel it, celebrating your wins instead of hedging a little because the old you doesn't want to make other women feel bad. You have a divine responsibility to shine like a disco ball. And the only way you can do that is to be fully expressed. And there is no transformation, and there is no next level, and there is no future self-embodiment, and there is no living your best life if you are not allowing yourself to decongest emotionally.
It's so gorgeous. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Let's think about what might we be then asking if I'm saying, like, I'm very convicted. So then the question becomes, all right, Tracy, so you're just told me that fullest expression is basically the gateway to everything. How do I do that? I'm going to make that assumption that that's a beautiful question to have. And I would say there's two things that you can start to play with. One is your ability to non-judgmentally observe yourself, because the awareness that you might currently be playing with actually limits your ability to express, because it's typically judgmental observation. You notice something about yourself, you notice that whatever's going on, and instantly the current identity that you're in is like, oh, well, you suck, or you should have been over this by now, or why are you feeling this way, la, 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 la. And that's not helpful. And that actually keeps the suppression and the repression happening. So being able to non-judgmentally observe, which means, oh my God, isn't that interesting? That I totally said yes when I wanted to say no. Isn't that interesting that my body is constricted in this moment and I'm not allowing isn't that interesting that I sat down in stillness for 2 minutes and got up after 30 seconds because I wasn't willing to actually hear what was coming through? Look at that data. And this is what it means to guide a transformational journey from a high level of consciousness, because high consciousness does not hold judgment. It only operates from your inherent wholeness. So then when you do observe, it's simply like, let me see the data, because the more I notice, boom, 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 the faster we're evolving. And the second piece to fullest expression is your willingness to get back in your body, to really work with your nervous system so it tolerates you expressing yourself without shutting down and prohibiting you from expressing yourself. And that looks like talking to your body, remembering you have one in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, we are not floating heads, albeit the control matrix and our society wants to believe that we are. And talking to the body, hand on your heart, deep breath work, right? Like you beautifully guide, shaking your body out, putting an eye mask on and headphones and playing a song that like lets you rock. I'm a big Push It by Salt and Pepper fan when I want to get down and dirty with myself. And I put the eye mask on and I put the headphones on and I just like get after it. And then you actually start to feel this, which is where all the success you want lives.
Yeah, I love it. So it's like just listening to you, Tracy, I feel more grounded, more embodied, more safe to express. And like I said in your intro, you just embody what you're speaking and you transform so many lives with the work that you're doing. So I so deeply appreciate you leading the way with yourself first in that leadership, with yourself first in that joy, with yourself first in not judging yourself and having that neutrality and just being fully in your body and then bringing us to our bodies. So thank you so much, Tracy. You're freaking incredible. I love you so much, and happy Valentine's Day, and thank you for being here.
Happy V-Day.
Dropping that wisdom. So Heidi Stevens has a way of making success feel deeply aligned and easeful. She leads from a place of intuition and grace and deep transformation, helping women step into businesses and lives that feel nourishing rather than exhausting. Heidi is a domestic CEO, homesteader, and a spiritual guide for women leaning into slow living and deeper transformation. So my question for you, Heidi, is you talk about feminine leadership and building a business that feels aligned rather than exhausting. So how can we as creatives, as leaders, start to shift or continue to shift from hustle to flow and still create massive success?
Thank you, Siri. I'm so happy to be here with all these amazing women.
Hey, we're going to pause here for just a moment. Imagine stepping into the new year with clarity, purpose, and a deeper connection to your true self. That's what the Akashic Records offer, a sacred space where the wisdom of your soul, your masters, your teachers, your loved ones, your guides are waiting to be heard. An Akashic record reading is like sitting down with the most loving, all-knowing version of yourself. It is a conversation with your masters, teachers, and loved ones, your guides. It's a chance to uncover the patterns, possibilities, and guidance that have been with you all along. Whether you are feeling stuck, seeking direction, or simply craving a deeper sense of alignment, the Akashic has a way of meeting you exactly where you are at, offering insight, healing, and a profound sense of peace. This January, this month, I am offering a special Akashic record reading package, which consists of 10 45-minute sessions for 1,111. 1111. These sessions are designed to support you throughout your journey, giving you the space to explore your deepest questions, release old patterns, and step into the life that you are truly desiring. If you are feeling the nudge, now is the time. So let's dive in together. You can email me at the address in the show notes, siri@sageandblushwellness.com, to claim this special offer. And let's begin the journey of unlocking your soul's wisdom. And we're back.
Yeah, I was thinking about this question and just sitting with it. And, what came forward for me is we need to redefine what success looks like as a, lifetime overachiever and high performer and good girl and straight A student and, literally national champion gymnast and yada, yada, yada. I got really good at performing and winning and quote unquote having success in the Western patriarchal world and constructs. These last 3 to 5 years has really been a journey of looking in the mirror and going, what am I really after? What am I doing? Right. And there's been a lot of peeling back and a lot of going inward and a lot of really coming home, first and foremost, to myself. And so today's success for me is not defined by how much money am I bringing in, what are the accolades, what are the trophies that are on my wall, how many followers do I have. Success on a daily basis is how regulated is my nervous system, how reactive or non-reactive am I in my home, how filled up are my kids' tanks? Like, how full are they? How much time am I spending in nature? How embodied am I feeling, as Tracy just said? How much space am I allowing myself to move and feel and integrate? And, for me, it's like how we do one thing is how we do everything. And so the ways of the launching and the this and the masculine way, it's like those have just all had to fall by the wayside for me. And the creativity and the next steps are really anchored in the unknown. And as a planner and as an A type and as like someone that likes to have it all, figured out and put together, it's like, like things are gonna look and feel a little messy. And really just embracing this has not only brought me home to myself, but it's healed my family. It's spilled out into our land here, in our home. And it's like whatever those businesses look like, the business, it's a ripple effect from that. Yes, thank you, Tracy. It's a ripple effect from that going inward. And so like Tracy said, how embodied am I feeling? How expressed am I? It's just taking those next steps. And so what I feel called to, just put out there is that any of your listeners, like myself, that feel like we're in a deep transition, that we don't know the next step, that we're like, we were doing business this way and we're not quite sure what's next and we're not quite sure how it's all going to look, stay the path, hold the path. Like you have a voice. You are meant to serve and to share. And I do feel like this new feminine way of doing business, which I think has a lot to do with circles and sacred circles and women coming together like this. And we've all talked about community, but it's like it's digging in. It's digging in. It's not just community from a place of like putting on an event and like putting on your makeup and going to a networking event. It's like it's getting in there with each other, and it's more intimate, and it's quieter, and it's more inward. It's not having to have the show all the time. Everything in my body tells me that those are the morsels that are going to continue creating and showing us the next step forward in healing, in creating, and quite possibly having the quote unquote success that we all are calling in on all the different levels. That's what my life looks like today. It looks a lot differently than I ever thought it would. I'm spending a lot of time in my garden, a lot of time with my chickens, a lot of time with my kids. And I can honestly say that I am more filled up and more whole. And the self-love is literally oozing from within that I think I've looked my whole life for. So for that, I'm deeply grateful.
Oh my God, Heidi. Oh man. Oh, we feel it. Oh,
I
these
do too.
women. Damn. Damn. I just can't wait to sit in my bathtub and listen back to this and to like soak it in. Heidi, thank you for embodying the life, walking the walk, just like with Tracy. Like being the slow life suits you. Yeah, like getting in your garden. I love watching your Instagram, like seeing you in your
Thank you.
garden and seeing it flourish and seeing how excited you are about the lemons and the vegetables and people coming over and you sharing what you create from love. It's absolutely beautiful. And I think we can all take a page from that. I love the part about you said about like how we react to our kids. Like that's, how we show up there in our home. That's everything, like how we're showing up in our lives and not just like we're one person when we're at work and then we're someone else at home. Like really having that through line of embodiment and slowing down and patience and love. It's really inspiring.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You're so welcome. So Dr. Sarah Milken, thank you so much for being here. She is redefining what midlife looks like. Her blend of expertise, humor, and no nonsense honesty is a game changer in how we think about reinvention. She makes the idea of transformation feel bold and exciting and entirely possible. She's a midlife podcaster, a speaker, and Instagram personality. She went from being a stay-at-home mom with a PhD to reshaping how midlife is viewed through humor, expertise, and real talk. She is the host of the Flexible Neurotic podcast, where she helps women embrace curiosity, take action, and reinvent their lives. So Sarah, midlife is often seen as a time of pause, perhaps a time of limitation, yet you have redefined it as a time of expansion and reinvention. So what advice would you give someone who maybe feels a little bit stuck or a lot stuck in their creative or leadership journey and is ready for a bold second act?
Well, hello. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, look, there's so many answers to that question, but speaking from the heart and speaking truthfully, as I so do to the pain, I think, of my children who are like, TMI, please save it. Don't tell any more about anything. I have a son in college and a daughter who's a senior in high school. So this whole Instagram, very public journey, they're like, what's happening here? For me, I think like you said, and like Heidi mentioned, I have always been a very performance driven person. And I had all of these check marks and I checked all my boxes. And they weren't boxes that were created by my parents, they were boxes that were created by me. I felt like, okay, I went to an Ivy League school, I got my PhD, I got married young, I married my high school sweetheart, I had kids, I checked all these boxes. And I always had this plan of being a career woman, and that's how I grew up. That's my mom was a CEO, and that's what my plan was. And then as soon as I had my first kid, I didn't want to leave. And my parents thought I was crazy and they were very judgmental about it. And they were like, what do you mean you're not going to go to work? So we got through all of that as a woman who always wanted the career and the sort of shiny stars, I chose a different path for myself. And I chose the path of staying at home and being with my kids, doing a little Groundhog Day, same day, every day, carpool, all the things. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I loved every single minute of it. But I have to say that, especially when I hit 45 years old, I was like, oh my God, I have an extreme case of the midlife itchies. I can't stay home for one more minute. I need to do something. I need to do something for me, but I can't even figure out what that is. And I think my message to women is you're not alone. Most of us, if we're human, feel itchy, whether it's at 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, whatever it is, it's going to come at a different time. And it doesn't matter if you're premenopausal, postmenopausal, none of that matters. It's when you feel the internal itch for something more. And it's not like the more of I want a new house, a new car. It's the more of, like all of you guys have mentioned, just feeling in yourself the embodiment of who you are as a person. And I think so many of us have put ourselves on the side for careers and kids and all of these things. And then we get to this point that I call the midlife waiting room. And the midlife waiting room, it's comfortable. It's like the air conditioning's just enough so you're not sweating, and there's a few snacks on the side and you're just comfortable enough, and it's so easy to stay there, but it's really fucking boring too. And then you're like, oh my God, I have to get out of this midlife waiting room, but I don't know how to do it. And I think that that has been part of kind of the interest and success of my platform and my podcast, because I'm just speaking from the heart of like, hey, you guys, I was a stay-at-home mom for a million years with a dusty PhD. And here I am coming out on Instagram, and I've never even been on Facebook. And I'd never had an Instagram account. And I have no idea what I'm doing. And I've never done a podcast. And I'm scared, and I'm doing it anyway. And I'm doing it messy. And I'm not a person who's ever done anything messy. And so my message for everyone listening is, messy is okay. And no one is coming to rescue you. No one's going to give you a step-by-step plan. Yes, there are coaches and support people and, supporting characters, but you're the main character of your narrative. And it takes you to wake up in the morning and say, today's going to look different, and no one else is going to do that work for you. And so many things in midlife, it seems so obvious, but I keep saying it over and over again in my podcast and on Instagram, is everything's hard and good. Like, I don't want to lift dumb weights. I don't want to go to the gym. That's annoying for me. Like, I'm not one of those people who loves it, but it's hard and it's good. It's something that my body needs. I know that I need it as a perimenopausal woman. So I think that if we can sort of step back and recognize that we're not alone and that we're in this together, that I think that a platform, a community, anything that you can be a part of that makes you feel seen and heard is an amazing gift. Like how we are here today. We're all holding space for each other and creating moments of realness and connection. And I think that, whether it's someone you follow on Instagram or a friend or a life coach or whoever or whatever it is, to really sort of lean into that and know that you are not alone, and that we all see you, we all hear you, we all feel you, and make yourself a part of something. You don't have to start a Fortune 500 company. You don't have to write a book. You don't have to start a podcast. You can play mahjong, you can play pickleball, you can do cold plunges. It doesn't matter what it is. It's whatever your version is. Heidi's version is being a stay-at-home mom and gardening and, those things. Whereas for someone else, maybe it is writing a book, but just finding those things that feel good to you without the judgment of others, because high school's over. We've already done all that. Like, if you want to wear the leopard leggings and everyone else is wearing black leggings, go for the fucking leopard leggings. That's what I've got to say.
I love it. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Your humor is amazing. And Sarah, I love how you live so boldly. You're not apologetic about any of it. And you're just, like you're saying, you're living your life with just full freedom. And I think that your kids, as much as they might be like, oh, cringe, mom's, sharing on Instagram again, like I think they really look up to the fact that you're owning your life and that you're stepping out and you've cultivated such a huge audience. And it's because like you just said, you make them feel seen by talking about the TMI things. You make us feel seen and like
Yeah, I'm
it's
in my
okay.
kitchen and my daughter's like, "Why do you have stool sample tests on the kitchen counter?" I'm like, "Oh, because dad and I have to do the Cologuard." She's like, "What?" But it's those things. And then I get 100 messages of people going, "Oh my God, I got the Cologuard or the colonoscopy because of you." And it's kind of sort of just making things feel more normalized. Like we all
Yes.
have to do gross and weird things in midlife, scans, blood tests, poop tests, all these things, but they're things that we have to do and we need to do. And like, let's take the shame out of it, find the humor in it, do the things that we need to be doing to live the most healthy lives that we can.
Yeah, and you're very inspiring with how healthy you are. I'm like, I gotta get to the gym.
Oh
I
my God,
gotta
but
get
there's
back.
days where I'm like, okay, that's not happening today. Believe me.
Okay, good. Okay,
Yes,
good.
I'm a normal human, believe me.
Well, I definitely want to interview you just one on one soon so we can hear more of your stories. Okay, so we're going to move on to Amy Tangerine. So, Amy Tangerine makes creativity feel joyful, vibrant, and accessible. She reminds us that art isn't about perfection. That's what we've been talking a lot about today. It's about play, it's about self expression, it's about trusting the process. Amy Tangerine is a best-selling author, artist, and entrepreneur known for bringing creativity into everyday life. Amy, your work embodies joy in such a vibrant and tangible way. So, how do you cultivate a sense of play in your creativity? How do you encourage others to embrace this imperfection that we all have, our humanness, in their own creative journeys?
Oh, Siri, that's such a good question. And it's been so fulfilling just sitting here, soaking in all the goodness from everybody. I don't think that there is a one right answer for everybody, but I highly recommend that everybody get clear, super crystal clear on what it is that fulfills your heart, right? From a standpoint of fun, freedom, fulfillment. Those are all birthrights that we have that we may have lost touch with. I am also in this beautiful midlife process. And when I really peel back the layers, I can reconnect to what brings me joy and authentically process it in a way that I didn't have access to before because I had voices in my head telling me, no, you've got to do this in your 20s. You have to be accomplished by this age. You have to check all these boxes. And those were pressures that I put on myself, maybe from my ancestral trauma, maybe from my parents guiding the way the best that they could, maybe from me being an only child. But in whatever manner I was given this one opportunity to shine my brightest, I didn't feel so connected to it until my 40s, until I was a mom to two kids, who are 7 years apart for many reasons. One of them through a lot of losses and a lot of pain that I didn't experience in childhood. I feel very blessed to have had very few little T traumas. And then, here I am soaking my way through life and really feeling it fully and vibrantly in my 30s, but also experiencing massive high highs and really low lows. And so to bridge that gap where we live, right? This is our day to day. We don't stay up here all the time, even though I really wanted to. And I think that's why through creativity and art, I can alchemize that energy that I really want to sustain and bring in and soak up for myself, but then in hopes that the joy ripples out to others. I don't really see. It's funny because everybody else is like, "Oh my gosh, your life seems so fun and this and that and colorful and vibrant." And of course, I feel that, but it's almost like the embodiment that I've created for my life was that way because I prioritized fun and things that brought me energy, not the things that drained me. And I feel very lucky to had that gift of entrepreneurship that had taught me a lot of lessons when I was in my early 20s. And I believe that everybody can reconnect to that joy and that spirit that we have had maybe through childhood that wasn't fully expressed back then. That childlike wonder and awe and joy that we can lean towards and say, you know what would happen if I just let go a little bit? That is actually my biggest lesson that keeps repeating itself is my ability to surrender and to let go creates more expansive space for the magic and wonder to come in.
Yeah.
Last year, my word of the year was magic. And I never allowed myself to fully believe that in surrendering to the unknown or the majestic could bring such beautiful gifts that I really had never imagined before. And it really holds true if you allow yourself to do that. And it's hard for us, right? I am a total control freak, recovering workaholic, all of those labels that I put on myself because deep down inside, I think that I just wanted to be and feel worthy.
Yeah.
And I think that we all have this ability to craft lives that we love wholly, vibrantly, fully. And I don't know, I think that if we really get clear on what it is our path shows us and what our definition of success looks like, I love that Heidi mentioned that because all of us are expanders, right? I mean, Heidi has been an expander in my life for many years, so much so that when I walked into her home, I don't know, 8 years ago for the first time, maybe even longer, a decade ago, I saw something that I didn't even know was possible. This beautiful, expansive.
Hey, we're going to pause here for just a moment. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of the universe and deepen your spiritual journey? Join me for a transformative 3-month Akashic Record Reading Certification Program. In this immersive group Zoom experience, you'll learn how to access the Akashic Records, discern the difference between your intuition and the Akashic wisdom, and uncover profound insights that can guide your life and the lives of others. You can expect weekly interactive sessions filled with teachings and hands-on practice, a very supportive community of like-minded souls on the same path, tools and techniques to confidently read the Akashic Records for yourself and for others. So whether you're a seasoned practitioner or just beginning your spiritual journey, this certification will expand your capacity to feel good and connect with the divine. Spaces are limited. I like to keep it intimate, so don't miss your chance. Sign up now and secure your spot to embark on this incredible journey with me. For details, you can visit sageandblushwellness.com or just check the show notes. So let's dive deep together into the wisdom of the Akashic Records. And we're back.
Beautiful, expansive home that had so much love in it, but was also white oak and white and not so much filled with color. And I really thought, gosh, that would be amazing. And then years later, I actually used her GC to build our mid-century modern renovation. And it's so beautiful when we expand our capacity to see and trust and believe what we are given, what shows up at our door in this beautiful, wholesome way. Years ago, I wrote in my journal that I didn't believe this. Sometimes I think we need to write things that we don't fully believe yet, but we want to embody.
Yeah.
And what I wrote was, what I desire is what I deserve.
Mm.
And it felt so, I don't know, like scary at the time. But man, if you write that every day for the next 10 days, see what shows up for you. See what you truly desire and what you're expanding and opening up to. I had to journal a little bit while you were talking. And so it just says love is something we create. And I truly believe at the root of everything, there is magic in the making, and love is something that we create. So get clear, get creative, get connecting, reconnect to who you are, connect with others. Another C word that I love, I don't know, I just wrote this down really quick, is contributing, because we all want to contribute, right? But we can't do that without the clarity, without calm, and we have to depend on the collective. And
Mm.
another last C word that I'm going to end with is celebrate. How often do we celebrate and savor our wins that we work so hard for? Why
Yeah.
are we working so hard if we're not taking time to just celebrate?
Mm. Oh, poetry, Amy. I'm just shedding tears listening to you. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Your heart is so huge. All of your hearts are so huge here. And those listening, you're just, can you feel you're just getting so much love and so much wisdom? It's like oozing. Thank you, Amy. Oh, I love you guys so much. Okay, so Simbi, I met through Buddhism years ago. She has been such an incredible mentor to me. She is a masterful storyteller who understands the deep power of narrative. She uses film to heal, inspire, and create meaningful change. Simbi Hall is a writer, a producer, a director, and the founder of Athena Films, a production company with the mission to create projects that foster enlightenment through entertainment. And may I add, she is a masterful Buddhist leader. So, Simbi, storytelling has the power to heal, to inspire, and create change. What role does joy play in storytelling for you, and how can we use creativity to shape a more authentic and connected world?
Mm, that is a fabulous question. And I just have to say, I've been taking notes on each one of you have given me something to write down. So I'm so thankful for being here, first of all. Joy is just primary. And just coming also after Amy, and I love your background. Mine's a mess, but I was like, oh, so plate, like I want to go in there and like do art. But I feel like joy, it's like connecting to your child self. Like people talk about inner child, your inner child, and often it's like they're causing havoc or they're doing something naughty or something. I feel like our joy is our inner child that we need to address and connect with daily, actually, and the various ages, because sometimes I'm 7, and sometimes I'm 14, and I haven't really gotten past 24. So that's what, like I do this thing, this thing called the Hoffman process, and anyway, you can Google it. It's a whole thing. The primary practice that I took from that is something they call a quad check. So you check in with your 4 quads. So we have, our emotional self, our intellectual self, our body, and then our spiritual self. And like somebody said, like often we think we're just like a floating head, but that's our intellectual self. And what can happen is the intellectual self and the emotional self can become at war if they have different ideas. And then the body becomes the battleground, which I think a few of us are going through right now with just like everything that's happening in the world. If you're in LA, the fires, like speaking for myself, like TMJ, like stress. And joy for me is the antidote to that. And it's not denying, right, the things that are causing the stress. It's not denying the very real and visceral reaction, but it's making a decision that I'm going to have joy as well. And that I feel like I have to sometimes do a couple times a day. And I also find that if I'm not actively creating, and so working in this business, there's a lot of meetings to get to make the thing,
Yeah.
and that can be, it's necessary and it is what it is, but it's like that's not necessarily joyful. And so and so I have to find ways to like make sure it's joyful. And while also knowing that I have to do that stuff, it's like the whole reason I got into any of this is to tell stories. And I really do feel like, story is what connects people's hearts. And I feel like that more than anything is what we all need to be figuring out how to do with each other. I feel like right now I'm primarily focusing on comedies. People need to laugh. And strangely enough, there are very few things that I personally consider just straight comedies. Not that they're not also about things that are deeper, Speaking of that, a friend was sharing about her menopause journey. She's perimenopausal. And I was like, oh my God, this sounds like a comedy. Like, what? Okay, I need all the notes. Like, I need all the information because nobody is really talking about that. But I think that there's humor in everything. And when we can find the lightness in it, we can find the joy and we can find the connection. As Siri mentioned, we met through Buddhism, which is definitely like my anchor, is having some anchor, whatever it is for you that lets you remind yourself who you are, which, and then again, back to what I was saying about the four, the quadrinity, is the spiritual self needs to be the team leader. And so it's being able to check in and say, all right, little Simbi or inner child or whatever age I might be that day, emotional self, what do you need? All right, we're going to get that taken care of. Body, what do you need? Yes, absolutely. Intellect, I hear you. What do you need? Yes, you're right. They like to hear, you're right. And then and the spiritual team leader comes in and produces it all, like wrangles it all and makes sure that all the needs are met and we're moving forward with the primary goal. And I've always been goal oriented and also open to leaving space for the magic, of like, I don't want to be overscheduled all day, but I do want to have a plan. I do want to set an intention of like, if I'm having some meeting, what's the goal for that? How do I want to feel? What's the end result? Can't control any of it, but I can at least say, this is the direction I'm heading. And then use that as a checkpoint for if things are coming in that are not in alignment with the goal. I've become better at being like, I'm not going to do that. It's just really being honest with like the core, because also you can say yes to things that you're curious about. So I'm all a fan of like being curious and play and see what happens. But I think you all know what I mean. It's like, you know what I mean. All right. You don't just say yes to say yes, but just like really checking in, like, is this in alignment with what I want to be doing? And is it the community I want to be in? And is it, whatever your criteria are, and then giving yourself permission to do a lot less. Like, so even with the stress TMJ thing I'm having, it's funny because I realized I'm like, oh, my body, because we ended up doing what I call an evacuation vacation where we just like made a road trip out of it.
Yeah.
And then, once I got back, my body was like, oh, whenever I'm in some kind of pain, it's my body saying, you need to just lay down. I'm like, oh, if I just lay down, but then I have all these other things I want to do. So my lesson that I'm taking is lay down before your body makes you lay down.
Yes. Yes. Oh my
Because
God.
she will force you.
Yeah. It'll just kick right out.
Yeah.
Simbi, I love you so much. You've been such a mentor to me. And, you used to run the Oscar red carpet show. So I was envisioning when you were talking about all these different aspects, corralling everything. It's like, that's why you're so good at corralling the externals, like everyone around you. And then but what you're talking about is corralling all of the aspects of ourself. Like you're saying comes first. That comes first. And then we can have that discernment of like, in the moment, nope, that's not going to work. And yes, this is going to work. And that's not in alignment because I'm already here with me in all aspects of me. It's really great. And I love your honesty, your authenticity, your transparency about like, yeah, shit's hard right now. Like I'm going through it. And because I think we all get it. And then we just feel so much more close. That community aspect that Amy was talking about is like, we're all contributing with our own honesty. And you're just incredible, Simbi. So I can't wait to see the comedies that are going to come out because I'm in full agreement that we need more of that. For sure, like the pure comedy. Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
Joya, yes, you're so welcome. So Joya Sosinowski, your work is a beautiful reminder that the body is a gateway to creativity, joy, self-expression through movement. Joya helps people reconnect with themselves, their artistry, and their leadership. Joya is a renowned expert in sound, movement, dance, and embodiment practices. And so she has an acronym and it's SAVED. So SAVED, sound, art, voice, embodiment, and drumming. So Joya, movement is such a powerful form of creative expression and leadership. So how does embodiment help us reconnect with our joy? And how can we use it as a tool for creative expression?
Well, first, Siri, thank you for inviting me to this amazing panel of all of these incredible women. I also have taken a bunch of notes, and I'm so excited to share my thoughts on this. First of all, I spent many years outside of my body and being ahead, just being in my thoughts, being in my mind, being in my thinking, rational, scientific, researcher kind of self. And it took me a long time to land back in my body. And what I realized coming back into my body was that when I was just in my head and I quote unquote knew all the things, I might have knew all the things from an intellectual point of view, but I only had an idea of them. I wasn't really feeling it. I wasn't really in the fullness of what was happening inside of my body. And so now that I've really connected and landed back from my head and the thoughts and the ideas and the intellectualizing and the rationalizing, I've really come to realize that the mind, and I'm so grateful that we have these thinking, processing, rational minds, but I really came to realize that this thinking mind is really supposed to be in service of my awakened heart. And that when my heart is awakened, and I'm living from that place, that it creates such different experiences. And Simbi, I was also a Buddhist for a long time, and the metta prayer was really what transformed my consciousness. That was really the first path that transformed my consciousness in going through mindful self-compassion training. After I had done mindfulness-based stress reduction training, I went through mindful self-compassion training. And that was the first time that this idea landed on me that I could give myself the love that I didn't receive as a child. And being a 9 on the ACEs was the reason I disconnected from my body. It wasn't safe to be in my body. It wasn't safe to feel, but I could rationalize and I could intellectualize and I could meet people as a chameleon, which I got to be really good at, and meet people where they're at, which of course, all of those shadow gifts have beautiful, soul-fulfilling gifts when you transform them, because now I can meet people right where they're at, but it's with a different energy. It's really with an energy of acceptance and love, and true joy is a felt experience. Coming home to being really authentically in the present moment without my mind interfering with the present moment. And when it does, I'll be like, oh, well, now I notice that I'm noticing how present I am. So now I'm no longer present because I'm just noticing I'm present versus being in the presence. And so when I really feel like through any of these embodiment practices, these artistic expression practices, that it's really practice. So I'm opening a new temple space next month. I'm in construction process right now. I'm so excited. The whole thing is to come in. It's only for women. Sorry, men, because there's a different safety net in women being together, that we feel like we don't need to perform. We don't need to put on our whatever act we put on around men. And I notice those things when men are present, that there's just an energy that changes. And it's not anything on the men. It's just our conditioned behaviors. And so through the acronym of SOUND, which is taking people through sound journeys, I really believe in sending people on these sonic journeys of deep embodiment, dropping deep in. Art, of course, Amy knows, expressive art. I'm like, there's no wrong way to do art. If you hate what you do, throw it away. Just don't judge it while you're doing it. It's really, you're doing it for the process. Voice, I really know, and with all of my heart and soul and all of the vocal and voice training, and I'm not a singer. I am not a singer. And I always tell people like, I can't sing. I'm afraid to sing. That this isn't singing because it's not performing. You're using your voice. You're learning how to drop into your body. And there's a different voice. Like if you're up here, you're talking from your head and I'm talking from my thoughts versus dropping in and I'm talking from my heart and I'm speaking from my womb. Sometimes I could feel my voice just drop way down, that we're embodying our voice. And I really know that to the extent that you say you hate your voice, there's a direct correlation to how you actually feel about your own worthiness, because your voice is your vibrational signature. And I used to, once upon a time, always say I hate my voice. And so to go on Instagram and pull out my drum and just, I'm going to sing a song. I'm like, if you would have said I would have did that 3 years ago, I'm like, you're crazy. I'm never doing that. So your voice, embodiment. So I created this process called Soul Luminous, which is a 6-stage process that actually kind of combines all of these elements into one movement meditation practice, because it's all about being in our body. And then drumming, of course, because I just freaking love drumming. And also, there's so much science also that backs up all of these things. And so my researcher nerdy side is like, oh, well, this is working. This is dropping me in my body. I'm experiencing profound healing, like real healing, because I'm in my body. On the healing journey, on this awakening journey, our body, and I wish somebody had told me this years and years ago, so I didn't waste so much time, money, energy trying to heal myself through my mindset only, that the body is the unconscious mind. The body has stored everything that's ever happened to you. Every memory is stored inside of the body, and that we can free it and transform it and repattern our body. We can literally reprogram it, having fun doing it. It doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to be deep. And that's not to say that when you're in these processes that energies don't stir up that want release, because of course they do. And it's my space is a safe place to scream, to cry, to grieve, to have the snot covered face while you're in process of what's coming up. And the important thing, though, is to not tell yourself a story about it, that it's just the energy that wants to be freed, that we do, those grief experiences, those painful experiences that we've had all sit inside of us waiting to be expressed. They don't go away. They're waiting to be expressed. And so we can do that through so many different mediums. Those happen to be my 5 favorite mediums. And then, of course, getting into nature. I think that's the easiest thing. Like the slowing down, the moving at the pace of nature, going slow, sitting by a river and putting my feet in it just to listen to the water and listen to the birds and feel that presence. And also just noticing that as the water goes by, that's time. I'm like, that is time right there. I'm watching time and getting this sense of there's no now. There's just now, 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 now. But there's no solid now. There's no solid self. And so we're not our stories. We're who we want to be. We're who we create ourselves to be. And I agree that leading with my spiritual self has opened the door to all of my freedom beyond anything I ever could have possibly imagined was possible.
Oh, Joya, I really just wish I could have another hour to ask you more questions, even though I've interviewed you already, because your story is very transformative and beautiful. And you were touching upon like basically how all the trauma that you went through, and now you're free, and the way that you've freed yourself, and now because you've freed yourself in every aspect on all levels, in through the body, through the voice, through the drumming, through the dancing, through art, through creativity, you're doing this for us, for the women here, the women listening, and it's a gorgeous just trajectory. And so thank you for being on your mission, and for sharing that mission with so many women. And everything you said, I'm like, yep, that's totally what I love doing. Just all of it. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Joya.
Thank you, Siri.
You're so welcome. And Celeste Chiam is a visionary, musician, educator, and creativity coach, empowering people to embrace their artists within and inner wisdom. She helps others bring forth their deepest knowing and inspires them to elevate their creative and leadership potential. So Celeste, intuition is such a powerful tool in both creativity and leadership. How do we learn to trust our inner knowing more and use it as a compass for creating and leading from a place of authenticity.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Siri. Thank you so much for this wonderful panel. First of all, I have to say I'm so honored to be a part of this beautiful, meaningful talk today and being a witness of actually, we're connected through Buddhism, and you mentioned Simba as well. And there's a concept called cherry plum, peach, and damson, where our mentor, mentioned that every one of us has this unique characteristic, and that we are all illuminating and manifesting our true nature in all different unique manners. So today I just witnessed that because I can hear the underlying theme of where we're all getting to, which is our truly fully expressed self. In Buddhism, it's called our Buddha nature, and there's so many names, right? Artists within all of that. For me, same as Simbi and yourself, the spiritual way is where I anchor in and really tap into that intuition and creativity. And I'm also very honored and privileged to have the tool of music and dance. And Joya, when you were saying body, I'm just like 100% yes. In fact, every single thing that everybody said today, I can say a full 100% yes, that I relate to it. In terms of really tapping into our inner wisdom and intuition, there's so many different tools. And for me, it's that creativity, that spirituality, because I feel that that common platform is the easiest that we can really reach in. I'm so lucky to be working with children, every day reminded by my students how to really have fun and call out that artist within, so that it can lead us towards our alignment to that true essence of ourselves. We're so conditioned, and being a musician, there's this element of performance. I'm sure you know as an artist as well, actress, that there's a certain element of performance that we just naturally go towards. The challenge is to really find that balance of the yin and yang, the masculine energy being the structure and the skills and everything that we need, and then getting into the feminine energy of just flowing. That's the part that's the trusting part, right? Once you have that structure in place, how do we then flow and just really experience that creativity within us? And when Amy Tendrin mentioned magic earlier, it reminds me of Elizabeth Gilbert's book, The Big Magic. And she
I just finished that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, wonderful. She talks about how creativity is a force of enchantment and entirely human in its own origins. And I truly resonate with that because as a musician, there's the part that I mentioned, the structure part, where we have the skills and the technique and everything to support the feminine flow. And once you get into the embodiment of it, it's becoming the music. That's the part that I think every day we're challenging and practicing with all our different unique tools. And I'm sure you also agree, Siri, as an actress, how do you become your part? How do you become the character, right? And so creativity provides us this tool and platform for us to really practice. We all have that life force within us, that frequency. When we're tuning to that frequency, it's almost like that takes over. To me, intuition is like that too. It's that if we can tap into that inner wisdom through creativity, we can just allow that leadership to come out. A lot of times we think that we have to do something to be something. And the concept of Buddhism and what everybody's saying here today is that essence is already within us. It's about allowing. It's about, somebody else mentioned, surrendering to it. We want to train ourselves to be multi-dimensional learners so that we can tune in from the auditory, the visual, the kinesthetic, the movement, all of it. But if you know your learning profile, which is what my podcast is going to also focus on, and my project with creativity is about everybody playing. Albert Einstein mentioned that imagination is intelligence playing, and I love that. To really allow us to use that platform of creativity to tap into that intuitive part and the artist within, I notice that that's usually where those intuition comes in. So for me, it's auditory. The way that I listen to a book, I notice that I gather a lot more details than the way I just read a book. But as a musician, I've become a multi-dimensional learner. So if you kind of know what your learning profile is, that could also be a way of tapping into where your intuition is coming forth with the message. So for me, when I hear people talk, it's not just people talking. I hear messages. I hear things that I feel that my highest self is yearning for me to do and to direct me. So the leadership part is all about really allowing that inner essence to lead us. And for me, my anchor is Buddhism and creativity. For all of us, we have different ways of that. So becoming more aware of that inner voice, wherever you hear, whether it's hearing, whether you see it somewhere, or your body sense something, to really pay attention, right? And some people will say, oh, it's the little whispers. Some people will say, oh, it's the inspiration I see from the art. And some people will say, it's the movement that I feel in my body. So whatever it is for each one of you, I feel that if we learn how to really tap into it, and then find that balance between the yin and yang, where, we want to learn, all the different structures and the tools and the skills that facilitate that flow, that feminine flow and the artist flow, then I feel that we are truly going to be experiencing the best life, because it'll be coming from that true essence that's within us.
Celeste, just like with all the other women, you embody, you exude everything you're sharing. You're not just talking about it. I feel that flow. I feel the intuition. I feel the awareness of all the senses of how things come through. I love that. That is what I teach in Akashic Record reading, is like how these various ways that we perceive. It's fascinating. Thank you so much. Your life force is so strong, and it's always this way. That's another question for another day, but I know chanting is one of the basics, and you talked about it. You referenced everything, the leadership and the creativity and the joy. And thank you, Celeste, for really breaking it down in such a fascinating, interesting way. You are such an incredible breath of fresh air and inspiration to all of us. And your friendship has meant so much to me, so thank you. Okay, so Anna K. Morris has a gift for helping women build success in a way that honors who they truly are. She proves that alignment, self-love, and joy are the foundation of long-term success. She is a business and mindset mentor guiding women through self-discovery and empowerment into self-love. Anna, you help women create success in a way that aligns with who they truly are. What are some of the biggest mindset shifts we can make to cultivate both joy and sustainable success in our lives and our business?
Hi, everybody. Isn't it funny to hear somebody talk about you to you, right? Like, that's always so weird to me. And thank you for that. I don't think you want to sustain joy. You need contrast. And the biggest problem is your resistance to contrast. Can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay, fucking period. The only problem you have is you. That's it. There's actually no problem. It's only your resistance to whatever it is that is happening. And the joke is always on us. I've been journaling for 17 years, since my first business coach, Jedi, mind tricked me into it. And I was like a lifelong journal hater, like such a hater. I was like, only losers journal. Why would I ever have to do that? Right? Like, don't people just know themselves? I mean, that was hilarious. I did not know myself at all. And I was about 30. When I started journaling, the biggest problem was telling the truth to myself and having to see it. Right? It's not like my mom always says to me, she will not journal, by the way. Oh, I figure I do it in my walk. I'm like, yeah, but you don't see it when you walk. And it's very different when you write down, I hate my life. It's very different when you write down, what was I thinking having these kids, right? It's really different when you tell the truth and you can see it in front of you. So I think the key to sustained joy is knowing yourself and telling the truth, even when the truth makes you feel like the worst person in the world and like it might actually swallow you up and kill you. And your willingness to look at how judgmental you are, how narcissistic you are, how egotistical you are, how self-absorbed all of that. Like how great to like have 40, I mean, I journal and coach people to journal for 45 minutes every day. So if you think you're a narcissist, this is great for you, right? Because I'm giving you permission to go do it. And it's what I see with everybody that I work with, most especially my clients who work with me for years and won't journal, and they just start to journal. And then they're like, oh, that's what you were talking about. I'm like, right. Because it doesn't have to do with your gender, your socioeconomics, your color, your age. It makes no difference. What you are writing is a coming home to yourself, that lots of stuff is in the way, our conditioning, our families, our stories, all of that. I find my greatest joy every single morning when I give myself the time and space to write through it long enough to write through all of the bullshit that's not true, to that little, like what I call the nectar inside of us, the divinity, the God, the whisper, whatever. That's like, do you know how much I love you? Do you know you could never get it wrong? Do you know that it's taking the perfect amount of time, that that person who has been upsetting you, I placed in your life to help you? Can you see that, my sweet girl? Mm-hmm. And when we can learn how to do that without a podcast, without a coach, without a therapist, without any outside endeavor, but just from this one tool, that our thinking mind, who's really trying to run the show, gets so much pleasure out of, because it's like a pen and a paper, and the thinking mind likes that. So give her a seat at the table and remember that she's not running your dinner party, but she gets to be there. And it's only when we can give that part of ourselves that's running wild a place to land, that I think true joy, which for me, true joy is actually really peaceful and quiet. It's not the euphoria. Like whenever something really good happens, I do not feel excited. I feel relaxed. I feel calm, and I feel knowing, because I always knew that was meant for me. What a treat to have it now be in reality. Yeah. And I can just relax back. And then there's just another thing that I want, that we're just going to go do this next thing. So I think joy is remembering that, like, we came here to do all of this. It's not being done to us. We chose this.
Yeah. That radical ownership and that radical authenticity, that radical truth with yourself, without anything outside yourself. That's tears. Anna, you resonate to such deep truth. It's gorgeous. Oh my God. Thank you for that.
Got it. Thanks for having me.
You're such a gift. Tosca.
Back at you.
Thank you, honey. So Tosca Faso is helping leaders rewrite outdated systems, create cultures of true empowerment, and redefine what leadership really means. Tosca Faso is a leadership consultant, author, and podcaster on a mission to detox corporate America. Tosca, you have worked at the intersection of leadership and cultural change. What do you believe is the key to shifting old systems so that leaders can truly thrive? Take us home, Tosca.
Okay. I'll do my best. Tough facts to follow here, for sure. On the surface, I know we all do really different things here, but I've heard so many of the same underlying themes: joy, curiosity, messiness, humor, even letting go and surrender. And believe it or not, even though most of my work is in corporate America, I talk about those things too. It feels like a mismatch on the surface, but as Siri said, if my mission is to help leaders be more authentically themselves, to fix what's wrong with corporate America so that work doesn't suck for employees, we have to do things differently. So much of what I teach is perfectionism isn't just a pursuit you'll never win. It's actually cruel and impossible. And so when you're a manager, people on your team, they will make mistakes. They're going to. They will let you down. They will misunderstand an assignment. They'll fall short, and so will you. So the question is then, what do we do with that as leaders? Do we live in fear of that happening? Do we create and build shame around that? And unfortunately, the answer is often yes. And that's where my approach differs. And what I teach is creating an environment of curiosity and exploration so that mistakes are something that you look for and that can accelerate people growing and can bring us all together and can give us bravery and even help us become better together. If you model that combination of bravery and honesty as a leader and say, hey, I've never done this before, but I know it's okay to be uncomfortable. I have to be uncomfortable to grow. And I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to trust you and we will all do this together. And that's how we support each other and how we figure out whose strengths on the team can complement someone else's growth at a certain time. I'll just give a quick example. I had a junior team member who had just gotten out of a master's program and she had given this amazing presentation the week before in front of the room, a 24-year-old on Wall Street, just bang up job. And then a week later, she's running this tiny little session all by herself. And she's totally paralyzed, tongue-tied, can't get through. I had to step in and like fix it. And I thought, what the heck is going on there? I mean, objectively, you could say if you were that kind of like fearful leader, she did a terrible job pulling her off the project. But instead, I came with it curiosity. And I just asked her, why? What happened? What happened today? I saw you do this last week and you were amazing. What happened today? And the answer was that she had learned a certain thing in her academic program that was very scientific and accurate. And ours was much, more organic and natural. And she thought that it was wrong. And so she froze and she thought, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm doing this wrong. And I realized, oh, I had an assumption that she knew we didn't have to do that. And she assumed she did have to do that. And once we cleared that up, she was completely free. She was forever incredible. But what if I had just said, that interview sucked, do it better next time? Would we ever have gotten to the root of it? I don't think so. And so what I teach is that my team's failing and my failings are all of ours together. And there's nothing wrong with it. And we're learning and we support each other. And if we don't believe we have those resources and support right there within ourselves, and we can't get through anything together, what are we doing? If we don't think that there's really anything over the course of the day we can't recover from, that's really where the real power and transformation and joy as a leader for me and for the people that I work with, we believe that's where that happens.
It's really like bringing that humanity and that compassion and that curiosity into the structures, that we're not just going to cancel someone because they did something wrong and we messed up or you messed up. It's like, let's find the root. Let's get curious. Let's find the compassion. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue, like figure it out together. I love that because you're taking something and someone that has so much potential and talent and giving them the opportunity to continue to thrive, just like you would with a child. If you're a leader, it's really important for us ourselves to have that compassion, but then to give that compassion to the other people that we want to see them rise. I love the compassionate role model of that leadership and the way that you're changing the structure and showing us how to change the old structures, Tosca. It's amazing. That's incredible. As we close this kind of more formal part of us all sharing here, let's just take a moment to honor the wisdom, the creativity, and the truth that has been shared today. Each voice in this space has been a reflection of love in motion, a reminder that leadership is heart-driven, creativity is limitless, and joy is a choice that we get to make. May we carry this energy forward, embracing our full selves, trusting our path, and leading with the kind of love that expands and inspires. The conversation does not end here. It lives on in the way that we continue to show up, that we continue to create, and that we continue to connect in our communities and with ourselves. So with so much deep gratitude, thank you all so much for being here. I love you, and I have a little poem. Love is not something outside of us, waiting to be found, waiting to arrive. It is the breath we take in, the space we give ourselves to expand. It is the knowing, deep, steady, unwavering, that we do not have to earn our belonging, that joy is not a prize for perfection, but a practice, a birthright, a home. To love ourselves fully is to walk unburdened, to trust the voice within, to move with the quiet certainty that we are already enough. The most radiant version of you is not the one who has it all figured out, but the one who dares to show up anyway, to speak, to create, to lead with an open heart. So as we close this space, give yourself one more breath. Feel the warmth, the power, the ease of being you. Carry this love with you, not fleeting, but endless, something that has always and will always be yours. And the more we share this love, the more it gets to expand. Thank you, ladies, you goddesses of light. You are such an inspiration in your own beautiful, unique ways. Thank you, audience, for listening, for tuning in, for soaking this in. There's going to be in the show notes everybody's information. So if you have questions, you want to reach out, you're interested in people's programs or whatever they're offering, you want to follow them on Instagram, it's all going to be there for you. So please dive into their worlds because they're all amazing women with so much to share. I love you guys so much.
Happy Valentine's.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you,
Valentine's
Simbi.
Day.
Bye,
Thank you all.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Happy weekend. Thanks, Siri.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of our journey today. As we expand our capacity to feel good, we're creating a community that celebrates authenticity and creativity. If this episode resonated with you, please go ahead and follow us and leave a 5-star review. It's great karma points. Your support helps us reach others who are seeking the same connection and inspiration that you are. If you love anything that you heard, text this episode to a friend or share it on Instagram and tag me at Siri Baruch Thornton. I'd love to repost and connect with you. Together, we can build a space where everyone feels empowered to explore their true selves. So until next time, keep embracing your creativity and slowly expanding your capacity to feel good, one breath at a time.